Okay, here we go. This is the sender that we keep having problems with because the gas tank goes pretty much right up to that piece of carpet just in front of the orange helmet there and right back down and finishes about here. So the moment we seal this off with something that apparently is impervious to gasoline, then we put it in the water and it hasn't properly cured, we find out that we're leaking gas, and that's dribbling down there and into the bilge, which then melts your bilge pump, causes all kinds of concern. You don't want to have an explosion in your bilge, even though it's like watered down with salt water and whatnot. I don't like it. So we're about to now pull this up with the extraction of the vacuum cleaner, clean it off, and I'm going to fiberglass it in without the screws, and it should give us a good 3 to 4 weeks before we need to even test it out, because it'll sit on the trailer and we'll be able to run it up in the barrel that we've got for it, and the gas won't even touch the top of the tank. It's just when you launch it and you put it in the water, any amount of fuel, even a small amount, is, it's on an angle like that, and this is under pressure. So let's hope that fiberglass does the trick. Cool.
Moments later,
I've put some masking tape on the underside of the screw holes. Just mixed up a very hot mix of Bondo and filled the holes up. I've cut out my pieces of glass top strand, and I'm about to mix up some resin and wet it up around the side, hopefully not dropping too much into the tank, and we will go from there. There is a bit of water in the tank, but when, as you already know, there was a screw poking right up here, and this gets wet every time it rains. Not only that, when I was cleaning it out with my wee grinder here, I nicked the power cord. So that resulted in me twice now rewiring the entire thing, and the first time I rewired it, I didn't look at the other end, and it was a complete mess. I don't know what I was thinking when I did that. So basically then I cut that all off out of frustration, shrink wrapped everything else on, and made a plug that will come out just here outside of the bilge. I'm going to shrink wrap over it, of course. I've tested the gauge. The float works really well, so now all that's left to do is fiberglass it into the hole, make sure that it goes in well. There is a little bit of water down the back of the tank. I'm going to try and get some photos of it now by poking my phone in there and doing some stupid stuff. But anyway, we'll get back to you shortly. What is going on, everybody? It's probably the 4th day now. It's been sealed in there. Nice. Gone hard. Glass and resin all around. This has been rewired and set. I've just got to plug it in down here and tuck it underneath the fuel tank. So this is going to have plenty of time to widen. So I'll put a little cap over it shortly and we'll be done.
flashback.
We have just put a couple of rough coats on the leg here. Very glossy but also very orange peely, so I will give it a real fine wet sand. Put the final coat on when we have the leg on. We've got all the bits now to install the 660 on here and bolt that back up with a C-clip.
End of flashback.
Right now we are going to fit the engine mounts on the bottom of the engine. And we're just going to put generous amounts of anti-seize on the bolts so that I don't run into the same problem that I ran into if I ever have to service this again, because the bolt was actually jammed into the engine mount and I had to press it out with a vice, which wasn't much fun at all. So we're going to apply reasonably nice smooth amount of copper anti-seize to one bolt while the other bolt is in, kind of holding it in its position. And then we can feed it in and know that the thing, hopefully salt water will not get to it. I mean, we may not even have to do anything with this for the next 25, 30 years or whatever, how old the engine is. But just in case we do, the bolts that we pulled out were still, they may have been zinc coated or whatever, the ones that Mercury put in, or anyone else that knows anything can correct me on that if I'm wrong. But I'm going to try and keep the end threads away from the anti-seize, of course, because we'll be putting Loctite on those. Okay, nearly there. We'll cut back to you shortly. Okay, job done. Let's hope we don't have to do that again. We've got the zinc bolts, which I will paint anyway, and we've fitted them in with the copper anti-seize through the shaft here, through the washer, stainless washer, through the engine mounts, and the stainless washer there, on the stainless washer up there with push spring washer, and we've just put some blue Loctite on and likes of these, and we've just torqued them down nicely and tight. And up under here now we've got this, hopefully, Miracle Pure. It seems to work with a lot of other guys, so we've just cleaned it up. Now we're just going to leave it untouched, other than a bit of spray painting. I'm not going to be doing any wobbling on it for the next day or two. Just let this seal. New caps, because our caps are all busted, if you can remember from the beginning of the video. Everything is back together with the way the bolts should have been from the factory, so that we could get them out, although my bolt was so down seized that I wouldn't have had a show anyway. So yeah, cool. That's one job virtually done. Coolness.
Yesterday.
What is going on, everybody? Rain has found us today. Still very hot, very muggy. I made the mistake of not covering this last season. It was already, the paint on the top here was already of substandard quality, and I've managed to sand it back, but in areas that you can see, maybe along there, it's very, it's not even, I would say, beyond orange peel. You can just see it. Had I covered it, my graphics, see how they're all peeling there? These were really expensive because they're in checker plate. All of these graphics started to peel with the weather. I don't know what I was thinking. The Mercury sign is all blistered. I am very disappointed in myself. It's faded pink on the back because the motor was up. This Mercury sign up here is virtually unsavable. I'm going to have to take that off. These guys here, I'm going to probably try very, very hard to say. This was always there, the ripple. I'm going to have to cut that, and all this is peeling off as well. But this is actually, this is the worst side. Yesterday I was blowing all this out when I was sanding it with compressed air, and I blew all this away. But however, I've heard great things, read great things about this. Re-stickable, tacky, spray tack, stick on, peel off. Obviously it means you can peel it off at any time, which I don't really want to do, but this was what came up when I was searching for something to re-stick these graphics down. So I have a plan. The plan is to re-stick the graphics on, mask them up, go over them with duplicolor metal cast, bring the colour back to the checker plate, and then hopefully fade a new black in around here with a good quality automotive black, and fade it in, and then give it a really good clear coat after re-sticking, even on the good side. This is the side that didn't get all the weather in the sun. This is the good side, but it's still peeling slightly. So I've got to try and get in there and unpeel it and then get in there with like a bit of wax and grease remover and very carefully dry it off, and then some peel and stick. So I'm going to mask it up, and then I'm going to go from there. These guys here, the blisters, right here there's some blisters and bubbles. I don't quite know what I'm going to do with that. I don't think that they're going to pop if I cut them. I just think that I'll go with this again. They were a lot of money. I bought these from eBay and they look really good, and I'm just so annoyed at myself that I didn't get out there and sort it out. Anyhow, that's what it's left with now. So I'm about to try ADOS on and off. Hopefully I can get it cleaned up and stick it back down. I'll get back to you.
A little later.
Well, what a Pandora's box I have opened. I have used the ADOS on and off over there. It's sort of worked. Keeps wanting to lift though, and I put many look in there. It just wants to lift, but then when you hold it shut, it'll hold for a moment. So I'm kind of wondering what to do. I've taken the actual 225 lettering off of there. You can still see where it is. I've been using XT8. What a miracle cure this is. But boy, I tell you what, 3M stuff, I ended up pulled the mercury off the back here. That's not going back on. And I managed to get the 225 off of here. So I'm probably going to repaint that, and the lettering has come off. And then I've managed to clean off with the XT8 all the goop, all the 3M rubbish that stuck to the end of it. I can see down there, look, that hasn't done anything, but I don't really know what will. Anyhow, I'm thinking I might paint the lettering while it's off on the outside, paint it red, and then when I stick it on, that way I don't have to paint it red again, hopefully. So it's faded here. These are all cruddy. They're all like lumpy and blistery and wanting to pop off, but if I could get some clear coat on there. I've started to cut that, but that there was under the masking tape, so I've started to cut that off square because that was all blistered and come off. If I can get that back together the way I want it, I've got to paint the top because that was where it was just absolutely rubbish. The front is okay. All the way around the side here is pretty good. It's a couple of wee spots, but it's nice and red. So I really don't want to mess with that. I just want to put a clear over it. But I've got to somehow blend it in from the top along here. Got a wet sand, blend it in, and then fix the top, which we saw yesterday. So don't quite know about this on and off stuff. I mean, we saw that. It certainly fixed that, but whether or not that's going to remain like that permanently is the question. However, another day. It's late and I want to go inside.
Much later.
This is where I'm up to with the engine cowl. I've glued back down the stickers, including this horrendous piece here. I'm going to have to mask in and just paint that with a bit of base coat for then the duplicolor metal cast, and then I'm going to run fade metal cast around these pink parts here and make them red again. I managed to pull the numbers off. Yeah, I painted them with metal cast while they were off, and they turned out alright. So if I can fit the 225 on here again, that'll be great. I should be able to wet sand these two in here. Hopefully I've got enough on the top, because the top was the worst. You can see some scratches from my sandpaper and stuff like that, but mostly down here I didn't really want to touch it. So there was a worn patch here where I burned through, a burn through patch here, but mainly the thing is super smooth, so I'm probably just going to go over it where it needs to blend. I stuck down, and he's not stuck down anymore. Right, I stuck down 2 letters there on the mercury today. They've since popped off. I've stuck down with ADOS contact glue, and these numbers, they need to be cleaned up, but I pulled those off and use XD8 and basically got the gunk off, and tomorrow I'll fill this piece in here and just zip a wee bit of silver there. There was a black dot there that I had to fix that was white. I'll be able to blend all this in here, fit the other 225s to there. There was a crack there that at the moment you can see where I've sanded out the orange peel, and then a fold along here with some overspray. Hopefully that there will all blend in. Hopefully I've got enough on the top. There does appear to be some blemishes that I wouldn't mind attending to, but all in all it went okay, even though it probably needs a little more work. I can't really see because our big light, the one that makes it look disco, is broken. So anyway, just let this sit for a day or so. I may come back and mask up and paint the pink back into red, but I don't think I'm going to do any like 1000 grit wet sand blends or anything like that until I'm certain that the paint is hard enough. So that's where we're at with that.